Hi everyone, welcome back to If My Heart Had Wings, Kotori Route, episode 5. So in episode 4, we hit some major milestone. The fact that Aoi confessed to Kotori and vice versa. So in short, Aoi got so happy that while he was testing the newly reconfigured, rebuilt glider, he went all crazy and Ageha and the others were able to catch it. And it was worse because they left the radio on and they could hear everything that was going on in the cockpit. So it also means that Kotori is more comfortable going home to her parents for the Obon Festival. And now we see that Kotori is talking about her little history about why she's at the Keifu Academy. So Kotori was this happy girl. She liked to play volleyball. But then when she got into an accident and lost her ability to walk, everything changed. Her parents were so sad that they were really treating Kotori like she's some special person. And for Kotori, it was getting very hard and annoying that she wanted to find some place where she could step out. And that's why she's here at the Flying Fish Manor. So we'll see how the story continues and what's going to happen next after Kotori leaves and returns to her parents for the festival. So Kotori's like,
一応確認だけど、葵くん、本気なの？
Wait, so about what?
私のこと、本気で、
So Kotori still has some doubts. Like you? So Kotori put her hand on her chest as though she taken damage. So what is it? Do you doubt?
そうじゃないけど、いまいち自信が持てない。葵くんみたいなかっこいい男の子の恋愛対象に自分がなれるなんておかしいもん。世界七不思議って感じ。
So I think it's like, well, you're too good, so why would you pick me over everyone else? Hey, so why could you try saying that after looking in the mirror? So you're kind of special too, Kotori. So she doesn't realize how cute she is. There you go. So I mean, were you calling yourself beautiful girl a while ago?
そうだけど、美少女ですけど、でも。
So I wonder if that's the term cool Liu back then.
葵くん優しいから、私のことかわいそうだって思ってくれて、それで。
Well, I really like you, Kotori. So you're cute. You think of your friends, and somehow I feel calm when I'm with you.
そうかな。でも、よく性格悪いって言われるよ。
Yeah, well, I think, but that's cute too.
嬉しくない。
So, but what about you? So, do you really like me? I figured as if it was a good time to ask.
好きに決まってるでしょ？バカじゃないの？
Well, it didn't seem like it. So she answered as though me asking was totally strange.
だって葵くんかっこいいし優しいし料理も上手でちょっと意地悪でそれで
So she lists off my good qualities one after another. And so these were a few things that didn't sound so nice, but anyways. So, alright, I understand. So quit saying such embarrassing things.
わかったでしょ？葵くんがどんなに素敵な男の子か。
So it seemed like she wanted to ask, well, I told you so.
そんな素敵な葵くんが私のこと好きだなんて、なんか変な気がする。
So she spoke with no confidence hanging from her head. And she's awfully stubborn, acting like this despite all I've said. So what will happen from now then? Okay, so get this really nice CG moment. So Kotori lifted her head and I put my lips on hers. I had taken Kotori by surprise. Her eyes were wide open. I put my hand on the armrest of Kotori's wheelchair, leaned forward, and kissed her harder. So in the CG, it doesn't look like Kotori's in a wheelchair, but okay, so she probably is. It's just hard to see. It's covered up. So with a start, Kotori rested her hand on mine, which was still on her armrest. And then she squeezed it hard. Her hand was shaking slightly. So Kotori, I love you. And I whispered this while our lips were still touching. Then I pressed my lips onto hers again while stroking her hair. So Kotori closed her eyes. She relaxed her body and enjoyed the moment. So Kotori's lips are so soft. And I felt pulled towards her lips, and even as I kissed her and she kissed back, they were so soft. And they're so lustrous and tasted sweet. So our lips separated and she called my name. So through her slightly open eyelids, her teary eyes, slightly twinkling in the moonlight, met mine. And I asked again while stroking her hair. So now you understand how I feel, right? So does that convince you?
わかんない。
Well, I don't really know.
だからもっと。
Well, I guess there's no choice then. So he's gonna go all in now. So Kotori looked up, shut her eyes, and abandoned herself to another kiss. So I wonder how long that went on for. So the wind blew, brushing Kotori's hair against my cheeks with a tickling feeling. And I put my hands on Kotori's shoulders and slowly took my lips from here. So I wonder if that was convincing enough for Kotori. So our kiss ended and Kotori looked at me blankly. So it was like her soul had left her body and she was sitting limp on her wheelchair. So does that tell you my feelings? Okay, so now Kotori's convinced. So Kotori, still with a blank expression, nodded her head.
もう一回。
So, more? So you're so spoiled, Kotori. I spoke her in a it can't be helped kind of way and then lightly kissed Kotori's forehead. Okay, that's it for today.
サービス悪い。
Well, that was kind of, or like I felt kind of ripped off because you didn't give me everything. Oh, okay, well, alright, so here's a bonus. So I kneel down and hug Kotori. So how's that? As Kotori is sitting in a wheelchair, hugging her is a difficult undertaking.
葵くん
So Kotori sighed into my ear contently. Alright, so how's the service now? So, is it enough? Okay, that's good now. So Kotori nodded and then looked away shyly. Alright, so let's go back. So you haven't taken your bath, right? Okay, so she's embarrassed, like, well... So I think, well, anyways. So Kotori suddenly went red and became flustered. No, not like that. Well, I wasn't saying we should take a bath together. But I think the problem is like, well, you kind of tell me that I'm dirty because I haven't showered.
そっかそうだよねいくらなんでもね
Well, that's right. So it was a joke. Well, whatever the case, it's still too soon for us. So Kotori was being so meek and cute. I pushed her wheelchair and returned to the dorms. Okay, so it's now the next day. So, shaking his bottom, Hat waddled into the kitchen. Behind him is...
おはよ
once again, a sleepy Kotori. So Kotori followed behind, blinking her eyes sleepily. Oh, good morning. You look sleepy, Drew.
緊張してよく眠れなかったの
So, it's strange to feel nervous to meet your own parents, but when I followed my dad and lived away from my mom for a while, I was a bit nervous to meet them, or... meet her again. Well, my mom didn't care about the inner workings of her son's heart, but still... So what do you want for breakfast? I'll make it now.
パン焼くからいい
Okay, so I'll brew some coffee for you. I'll make it strong.
ミルクとお砂糖たっぷりでね
So Kotori prepared that Hat's breakfast while talking. So even while she is in his owner, she always takes care of him. So Hat is more attracted to Kotori than anyone else, too. Alright, so here's your coffee.
大丈夫かな
So Kotori muttered as she accepted the coffee. So are you still worried about something?
うちのお父さん私のこと溺愛してるから
Well, that's not a problem, isn't it? So it's not bad if your father dotes on you so much.
帰省するのはいいけれどちゃんと返してくれるか心配だわ
So she slurped her coffee while talking. So things like, well, if I do go home, will I be able to come back out here? And it's like, well, maybe the parents will want me to stay longer. Well, I'm sure he won't. Well, you think he might? I remember her sister and think about it again.
お姉ちゃんと違ってちゃんと会うの何年ぶりかだし
So I'm starting to worry. Is it really okay to let her go?
一応いざとなったらひばり姉が私を誘拐してでも連れ戻してくれるって言ってくれてるんだけど
So I really wonder about that. Well, anyways, just relax there for a while.
うん
So Kotori ate her morning toast with a mixed expression of worry and happiness. Well, I prepared breakfast for myself and the other people who are still in the dorms. So it's a simple breakfast, but anyways. So Kotori was watching me from across the counter while I did so.
しちゃダメだからね、浮気。
Okay, so Kotori's still not comfortable with. I was like, well, if I'm gone, I think I might do something. Like, you might go out with other people. Wait, so what's with that suddenly saying that?
だって葵くん、女の子にやたら優しいから心配だわ。ハット、ハット。
Yes?
葵くんが浮気しないか見張っておいて。もししたら本気でつっついていいから。
So Hat, you be on watch for Aoi-kun. So make sure he does not go out with anyone else, and if he does, you can unleash your attack on him. Okay. Wait, so she doesn't trust me. Hey, I told you, I won't cheat. Well, it's hard for someone else to believe you if you just talk. Well, I have such a cute girlfriend after all. That's not convincing. So while saying this, I stood behind Kotori and put my hands on her shoulders. So you're the only one I like. Okay, so don't worry that we might go to someone else. So from behind her, I turned her head and kissed her on the cheek. Kotori blushes and fidgets. However, she quickly scowls at me.
葵くんって私のこと侮っているわよね。
Huh? Wait, not taking you seriously. Why?
そうやってシューしたりアイスクリーム食べさせとけば機嫌が良くなるってそういうつらい女だって思ってるんでしょう。
Well, I don't think that. Well, I do tend to think it's a good idea to buy a girl ice cream, and if she's in a bad mood, but...
これも恋しているがゆえなのかしら。
Kotori says this and combs her hair upwards. And with a yearning look on her face, she says...
分かっていても騙されてあげたくなっちゃうのよね。
Okay, so I'll let you go, and I'll make sure... Or like, I'll trust you that you won't go out with anyone else. Is that so? Well then, maybe I'll deceive her. Wait, that's not good.
Kyoro, kyoro.
So Kotori stretches her neck out like a meerkat and looks around the area. And then after verifying that no one is nearing the... It's actually the kitchen. So she thrusts her lips out. Somehow, she seems to be insisting that I kiss her. That's obvious. Alright, princess. And I went and stood in front of Kotori and then kissed her upturned lips. So just for an instant. And they lasted like fresh coffee. With lots of milk and sugar. So Kotori smiled happily and then finished off her toast with jam. So it looks like the family is here to pick up Kotori. I heard Hibari's voice and pushed Kotori's wheelchair over to the entrance to meet her.
お姉ちゃん、それから。
A middle-aged man was standing behind Hibari. He was dressed in a gray suit and had a gentlemanly air about him.
お父さん。
Okay, so this is Kotori's dad.
小鳥、
Upon seeing Kotori, her father looked like he was going to cry. But he's a gentleman wearing a suit. His expression only showed emotion for an instant, and then he changed to a classy smile. Oh, Kotori, it's been a while since we've met. Or I've seen you.
元気だったかい？
見ての通りよ。
Yeah, so I'm good. And then her father looked at me.
こちらの方が、
トビウオソウの寮母をしている水瀬さんよ。
So this is the dorm mother for the Flying Fish Manor, and his name is Minase Aoi. Or Aoi Minase. Oh, it's nice to meet you. So I am Minase-san.
はじめまして。小鳥の父の幅根隆夫です。ずいぶんお若いようですが。
Yeah, so I'm still a student. My mother manages this property, and I'm just working part-time.
でも、すごく立派な寮母さんよ。ねえ、ひばりね。ええ、お料理も上手だし、しっかりしていて、とても信頼できる方だわ。
ほう。
Wow, so this is a special person. I'm talking about Aoi. So as both of his daughters had said such things, Kotori's father looked at me approvingly. Well, I held my head high. I felt a bit nervous. I felt a bit insecure while everyone said how responsible I was. When seen by an adult, I must have looked like a child. Well, that's true in a sense.
いつも娘がお世話になっています。
But anyways, thank you for taking care of my daughter. After saying this, he extended his hand to me to shake.
これからもどうぞ娘のことをよろしくお願いします。
But please continue to look after my daughter. Oh, thank you as well. After the greeting ended, the remaining dorm students in Ageha came to send Kotori off.
こちらが寮生の皆さんですか？
Oh, so is this everyone?
そう、みんな私の友達よ。カナに朝と夜。
So you have Kanako, you have Asa, and Yoru.
どうも、しぐれかなこです。はじめまして、風戸朝です。妹の夜です。
So after being greeted, Kotori's father bowed his head politely. And even when speaking with kids the same age as his daughter, he never forgets to expose or express his gratitude.
それから、この子がアゲハよ。
ああ、電話で話していた小鳥の大親友だという。
Okay, so you have Ageha, who is not a boarder, but still. So Kotori's father appeared moved, extended his hand for Ageha to shake.
どうも、姫木アゲハです。
娘からお話は伺っています。
一体どんな話してるんだろう。
So Kotori's father looked at everyone who had lined up and relaxed his expression, looking relieved. So he must have been concerned about how his handicapped daughter, or his daughter with disabilities, was getting along in the dorms. And to tell the truth, we had gotten Ageha to come in the morning on purpose. So basically, they want the father to see Ageha, one of Kotori's friends. So Kotori had wanted to introduce her best friend, there you go, to her father so that he would feel relieved. And it seems that her experiment was a success. And what about Hat? So next a duck came waddling in, shaking his bottom.
おいで、ハット。紹介するわ。わわ。
Okay, hello. So Hat flapped his wings and rested on Kotori's knee.
この子がハットよ。この中で一番古い私の友達。
ああ、この子がかわいいアヒルじゃないか。
朝、夜、少しの間、ハットのことよろしくね。
So while I'm gone, Asa and Yoru, please take care of Hat.
任せてください。
Okay. And same with Yoru.
よろしくね、ハットちゃん。ぐわぐわ。かわいい。それじゃあそろそろ行きましょうか。
そうだな。あまり長居してお邪魔になってもいけない。
Okay, so Hibari pushes Kotori's wheelchair.
それじゃあね、みんな、葵くん。いってらっしゃい、小鳥。
Okay, so see you later. So please have a relaxing time at home. So Kotori got into her father's car and went home. Okay, so now with Kotori absent, let's see how it goes from here. So we met at the dock as usual after Kotori left. And we have to resolve the problems that were found yesterday, and to be safe, check each part to ensure that there was no damage. So Ageha is in charge of maintenance. Ageha went with me to the runway, got guidance on the spot directly from people who had qualifications and helped with maintenance.
機体の表面に目立った傷はありませんでした。部品も問題なしね。さすが天音先輩の設計だわ。
So, depending on the design, sometimes too much weight can be placed on a certain area, parts can bend, and damage can occur. So, how does Yoru feel? So, Yoru is staring intently at the assembled airframe. So, what's wrong?
昨日のテストフライトを見てて思ったの。綺麗な機体だなって。
But you know, I admire the glider.
デザインって不思議よね。機能性を追求していった先に最も美しいものがあるんだから。
Well, I guess that's how it works. So the glider is a mass of function and beauty. And there is meaning in every curve. There isn't even a portion of it that was designed a certain way because it looks nice. True? And speaking of which, bicycles are like that too. Well, I'm sure the requirements for a bicycle is much less than a glider because the whole body of the glider is responsible for its lift and its performance. Whereas for a bicycle, it's on the ground, so well, you can make it more aerodynamic to allow it to go faster without much problems, but still.
けどこのグライダー不思議な形してますよね。翼が前に出てるのなんて初めて見ました。
So Asa pointed to the wing and said this. So the wing of this revised model jut forward a bit from where they are attached to the body.
普通飛行機の翼って後ろにこうなってませんか？
So Asa acted like her hands were wings and spread them out behind her and demonstrated.
いわゆる交代翼のことね。
So it means swept back wings?
交代翼？主翼の取り付け位置から斜め後ろに向かって広がってる翼のことよ。あれは超音速飛行をするためのデザインなの。だからジェット機なんかは交代翼が普通よね。
So whether they are passenger planes or fighter jets, the majority of airplanes we normally see on TV are jets.
ほう。
So small propeller planes don't have wings that point diagonally and backwards. They're spread out to the sides, right? So our old model wings were that way too.
どうして形が違うんですか？
So why is it different? So why is it swept forward?
交代翼は揚力が低下するのよ。ジェットエンジンがついていればそれでも問題なく飛べるんだろうけど、グライダーだとね。
So that's why it's normal for the wings to stretch out to the sides. But this glider's wings are pointed forward. Okay, so what they're talking about is swept forward wings, and those are not that popular. So obviously for any kind of jet that you see, even for like a Boeing or an Airbus jet, the wings are always swept backwards. And it's usually around 30, well, in the 30s for the angle, 30 degrees. So they're wondering why this glider would need a swept forward wing. So wings like this are called swept forward wings.
前進翼。
So if you divide the wing shape further, there's still a few more types, and there are that are unclassifiable. So I think it's like, well, what about blended wing body? So basically the whole aircraft is a wing, or like delta wings, where basically there's a lot of surface that connects to the body. Well, they're designed to go along with the objective of each plane.
じゃあこのグライダーの翼がその前進翼なのも目的があるんですね。
So yeah, that's right.
目的っていうか、この場合はメリットっていう方が正しいかな。
So I don't know what's the advantage of having swept forward wings on a glider, but I'll explain why it's good to have swept back wings on a jet. So Ageha began her explanation.
一番大きな理由は重心と揚力の中心になる部分の問題ね。このグライダーは複座式だから主翼の取り付け位置が限られているわ。
Okay, so in the instance of this airframe, the wings are attached to the sides of the body, but the cockpit is also inside the body. And in this case of two-seaters, the space made up of cockpit doubles. And for that reason, the point of attachment to the wings become limited. And further, since the cockpit and the number of passengers doubles, the center of gravity shifts forward by a large amount. And that's where the swept forward wings come in.
これ見て、朝ちゃん。
So Ageha draws a diagram of the old wings as seen from above and puts a point in the center. So it's just about in the center of the base, or like the wing root.
この点は主翼が発生させる揚力の中心部。ここを見えない糸で吊るされて飛んでるようなイメージね。
So basically like the point where the wing spar is. So it's not really a simple matter, but as Ageha is trying to explain in an easy to understand way, she'll simplifying it quite a bit.
もし頭が重くて重心が前に傾いてたらどうなると思う？機首が下がってしまいますね。
So the problem is that, well, if we make it front end heavy, this glider is going to keep diving down.
じゃあこれならどうかな。
So what about this one? So this time she drew a diagram of the revised model, swept forward wings, drew a line along the center of the wings, and created a triangle shape. And in the center of that, she drew another point. So that point was further forward than in the previous example. And this means that the center of the lifting power has shifted forward.
バランスが取れて頭が下がらないかも。つまり前進翼は胴体の後ろ寄りに取り付けながらも揚力の発生棒を前方に持ってくることができるわけ。
So it's also necessary to consider the instances where there are one passenger. The wings reduce the shift of the center of gravity as much as possible and have a role in maintaining balance. And this means that the wings are optimized for gliders with multiple passengers.
まあ本当はもっと複雑なんだけど、簡単に説明するとこんな感じかな。なるほど。それでわざわざ翼を作り直したんですね。
So it looks like a strange shape, but there is meaning behind everything. True?
へえ、すごいな。ちゃんと意味があったんだ。
Okay, so Asa is quite excited about, oh, okay, so that's why it's best to put swept forewings on this glider. So the problem was that this glider is front and heavy because of the cockpit and the fact that it fits 2 passengers. And because the wings are mounted behind or like much further aft, they have to try to find a way to compensate for the center of gravity being much more forward. So by having a swept forward wing, it kind of pushes the center of lift forward. And by having it as close as to the center of gravity as possible, that's going to help make this glider much more stable to fly. And the reason why jets have swept back wings is because they go really fast. So usually a jet flies around 0.8 Mach, which is about like 500 to 600 miles an hour, depending on weather conditions and all the factors. And at that point, you start to get some kind of sonic boom or sonic shock. And the swept back wings allow the entire aircraft to stay inside this, I'll say like the sonic bubble or sonic or shock wave. And for a supersonic jet like the Concorde, the wings are angled even more to the point where they're pretty much bonded with the aircraft. And that's because at supersonic, that shock wave, it forms this triangle pattern. And you want to have the entire wing inside this bubble because the shock waves, they can really affect the performance of the aircraft. But for a glider, they're not going to be going anywhere close to that fast, so it's okay to have a swept forward wing. So with an admiring expression, Asa gazed upon the wings that she had a role in building.
そんなこと全然知らずに作ってたよ。でもメリットばかりじゃないはずよ。
So your suddenly cuts in. So what do you mean?
例えば、前進翼はロール安定性を低下させるわ。テストの時、感覚がピーキーになってるって言ってたけど、そこにも原因があるんじゃないの？
So they do have their drawbacks. So when gliders are flying, they are always subject to unstable atmosphere. Wind blows from lots of different directions and sometimes strong crosswinds blow too. But gliders have a quality where even if they are rocked to the sides, they immediately try to make their wings level again. So this is called roll stability. Well, actually, swept forward wings have the property of reducing roll stability. However,
もちろんそれも織り込み済み。主翼の上半角を少し多めにつけて対応してあるわ。
so I think they kind of twisted the wings in some way to compensate for that.
上半角？
So look at the wings from the front. They're curved slightly upwards, right? So that's called the dihedral angle. Okay, so the wing twist. So adding a dihedral angle acts to preserve the roll stability to some extent.
あとはパイロットの腕次第ね。
So for airframes that lack roll stability, the reaction to ailerons, so the flaps on the edge of the wings, is fast and quite apparent.
そうね。
So Yoru nodded as though she was convinced, but actually it was though she had been convinced the whole time. So she probably understood it and just wanted to say something. Perhaps she just wanted to test us. So you're amazing, Yoru.
何がですか？
Well, even though you are not an official member, you are really well versed in this stuff. So Ageha and I had looked at the blueprint for the revised model and studied, but this couldn't have been the case with Yoru. So Yoru pretty much knows about all the concepts behind all these modifications and design.
別に姉さんが乗るかもしれないものだからちょっと調べてみただけです。ヨルちゃんすごいね。後で私にも教えてね。機能を知っておくってのは大事なことよ。飛ぶにしても整備するにしてもね。
So if one understands the properties of flight and the function of each part, it's possible to handle the situation when something is risky or something goes wrong. So for example, even if one wing fractures in the middle, it's possible, perform feats such as flying while maintaining balance with the ailerons.
さて、勉強会はこのくらいにして、例の作業に取り掛かりましょう。小鳥先輩をびっくりさせなくちゃですね。
So we plan to finish work on Kotori's cockpit before she returned from her home.
葵も手伝ってね。きっと最高のプレゼントになるわよ。
Alright. I was looking forward to seeing Kotori's overjoyed face. So I'm going to see how Kotori responds when she sees this newly improved glider. So the production of Kotori's cockpit was proceeding nicely. Okay, so now the next step is to modify the cockpit so that it is suitable for Kotori to use. It was not at all complicated. That's good. And putting it simply, we were just making it so that the rudder pedal could be operated by hand. So if there was going to be a problem, it would probably have been the layout inside the cockpit or the operability. But we have Amani's blueprint, so everything has been resolved. So thinking about making the wings of the glider, this was simple work. So it was my first time to fly alone, but the sensation of controlling the glider was different.
重量もだけど、重心が変化するもんね。
So during the day today, I did a test flight. I had just returned from the runway.
一休みして、あっちの作業しましょうか。
Okay, so shall we take a break then? So we can only do tests while it's light outside. So I think that they're going to test to see if the controls work. So we fly during the day, and then from evening we return to the dock and do production work on Kotori's cockpit. And it was rather a difficult schedule. So shall we eat here again? So we had a portable gas stove in the office. Since we also had electricity, it was possible to do some cooking.
まるで合宿してるみたいですよね。
So Asa was strangely excited. Well, it does seem exciting. So what shall we do for a side dish? So does anyone have a request?
私は何でもいいよ。魚料理が食べたいわ。 私は中華がいいです。私はハンバーグがいい。
Okay, so fish for Yoru, Chinese food for Asa, and a Hamburg steak for Amane. Wait, Amane? So when did you show up? So Amane was at the office desk and was working away at the computer.
やあみんな、おかえり。
Hello! Hey, so don't enter our conversation so naturally. But then again, she's the advisor, so I was surprised so suddenly to hear from her.
どうしたんですか、こんな時間に。
So what are you doing at this time?
学校に用事があったついでに覗きに来たら誰もいなくて、ここで仕事しながら待ってたんだ。
Amaya sometimes comes here to do work. Well, there is a lot of resources here, so the computer. So she says it because she can focus on her work as there are no loud people around. That's a good thing. And she doesn't get a phone call or email when she's here. Also a good thing. So why won't you eat call us then?
ラボに置いてきた。だってあれうるさいんだ。
Well, I don't think Amane is comfortable with phones because, well, I don't know if she's good at using them. And now she complains that the ringtone's too loud. Well, what to do with this person? So she was saying she had something to do at school, but surely the lab was annoying, so she left and came here.
あれ、小鳥はいないのか？
Oh, so I noticed. Kotori's not here. So yeah, Kotori's at home right now.
そうなのか。なんだ、せっかく会えると思ったのに。
Well, that sucks. I wanted to see her too. Well, I'm going to buy some ingredients.
私も行きます。じゃあ私も。
Anyways, we were going to buy stuff for dinner. Okay, so they bought some ingredients.
ほぼ設計の通りに言ったか。みんなの加工技術がしっかりしてるおかげだな。
So I think they're showing Amane the new modified design. And if you remember, Amane was the one who drew it up on the blueprint.
そんなことないですよ。先輩のおかげです。
There you go. So while eating dinner, Ageha announced the results of the test flight of the revised glider to Amane. And while eating a Chinese-style Hamburg steak with fish, so from flying it, I can tell that the functionality has improved. The stability while it's flying is different.
葵くんが上手になったからじゃないのか？
Well, maybe it's your piloting skills. Did you consider that? Well, that might be part of it, but it's not everything. So even when Aoi flew the new glider for the first time, he could felt how different it was compared to the old glider.
で、いくつか調整をしたんですけど。
And we did do a few adjustments. When Ageha and Amane begin to talk, usually no one else can follow. So that's why I finished the crucial announcement and then returned to my meat.
空の上でそんなことが。そうなんですよ。もう私もびっくりで。それでどうなったんだ？もちろんうまくいきましたよ。思った通り相性はバッチリみたいです。なるほど。ということは、葵くんと小鳥は今熱々だと。
Okay, so Ageha's secretly telling Amane about what happened on that test flight. The fact that Aoi confessed to Kotori and vice versa, and all the acrobats that he did in excitement. So he knows what's going on. It's like, hey, hold up. So what are you talking about over there?
テストフライトの話だわ。
The test flight?
そうよ。テストフライトの話よ。
Yeah, the test flight. Well, I don't think so. So what you said just now was different.
葵くんがテストフライトの最中に小鳥に告白したんだろ。なかなかロマンチックじゃないか。空の上の告白なんて。
But isn't that good? The romantic feeling? No, that was... And he finds it hard to deny it because it did happen, and he's blushing.
あれは良かったよね、朝ちゃん。問答無用で素敵でした。まるでドラマのワンシーンみたいで。
And he has... Or Ageha has Asa to back it up.
改めて思い返すと、少々わざとらしくもあるけど、悪くはなかったわね。私ら地上でハラハラしながら聞いてたんだよ。
Hey, so don't listen in on that. Well, I wish they told me that the radio was still on. Well, I'm sure it was too exciting, it was too good to let them know, and they really wanted to hear the whole conversation from start to finish. So, but at the same time, it wouldn't have been great to be told that while I was in the middle of confessing my love. Ah, man.
うまくいってよかったな、葵くん。でも、ちょっと意外だぞ。
So what's so surprising?
いや、てっきり、もうずっと昔から二人はそういう関係なのだと思っていた。
But you know, I kind of felt like you were together for a very long time.
私も隠してるだけで、実はこっそり付き合ってんじゃないかって、時々疑ってたわ。
There you go.
すっごく仲良しでしたもんね。葵先輩が小鳥先輩の髪を解いてあげたりして、見ていてドキドキしました。
Okay, alright. So, I got it. So let's just end it there. I'm so embarrassed. I could die. Well, I turned away from everyone and ate my dinner.
よかったな。
So Maya looked a little bit happy while she ate her Hamburg steak. So after all that, our meal ended and we were going to get back to work. Okay, so this looks like a good place to stop for this episode. So next episode, we're going to see what else or what other work they'll be doing to fix the glider in the absence of Kotori. So the new glider, it does look kind of interesting, but it does have its reasons. And one thing that swept forward wings have as a big advantage is that they have better stall recovery. So when the wings stall, you're supposed to pitch your aircraft down to allow the airflow to fix itself on the wing. And for a swept back wing, the stall actually causes the airplane to pitch up more, and that increases the stall. And that's why airplanes, they are fitted with warnings to alert you when the airplane is about to stall. But anyways, it is good that Kotori is finally able to go home, and we do see that the parent, or the father, and Hibara are happy. And I'm sure the father isn't going to keep Kotori home too long, because he does acknowledge that Kotori has good friends here in Kazigura. So we'll see when Kotori gets back from the festival, from her family meeting in the next episode. And with that in mind, I will see you later.